Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel True Wellness Hub. What if everything you've been told about eating 3 meals a day is completely unnecessary? Imagine waking up, skipping breakfast, ignoring lunch, and eating just one single meal in the entire day. No snacks, no grazing, just one plate of food. Some people claim it melts fat, boosts energy, and even improves focus. Others warn it can harm your metabolism and drain your body. So what really happens when you eat only once a day? And is this extreme style of eating a powerful health strategy? Or a risky experiment on your body? Eating 1 meal a day, often called OMAD, has exploded in popularity over the past few years. Fitness influencers talk about it. Entrepreneurs swear by it for productivity. And many people trying to lose weight believe it's the fastest way to drop fat. But before jumping into it, it's important to understand what your body actually goes through when you switch from multiple meals to just one. To understand OMAD, we first need to understand how the body normally works when we eat throughout the day. Most people follow a pattern of 3 meals and sometimes snacks. Every time you eat, your body releases insulin. Insulin is the hormone responsible for helping your cells absorb glucose from food and use it for energy. When you constantly eat throughout the day, insulin levels rise again and again. When insulin stays elevated for long periods, the body becomes more focused on storing energy rather than burning it. That stored energy is usually saved as body fat. This is one reason why fasting methods like OMAD have become so interesting to scientists and nutrition experts. When you eat only once per day, your body spends most of the day in a fasting state instead of a fed state. That changes a lot inside the body. When you wake up in the morning and don't eat breakfast, your body first runs on stored glucose from the previous day's meal. This glucose is stored in the liver in a form called glycogen. Glycogen is basically your body's short-term fuel reserve. For the first several hours of fasting, your body simply burns through these glycogen stores. During this stage, most people feel completely normal. You may feel a little hungry, but your energy levels are usually stable because your body still has easy fuel available. Around 10 to 12 hours into fasting, something interesting begins to happen. Your glycogen stores start running low. When that happens, the body begins searching for another energy source. This is when your metabolism gradually shifts toward burning stored fat. Fat stored in your body begins to break down into molecules called fatty acids. The liver converts some of these fatty acids into ketones, which can be used as an alternative fuel for the brain and muscles. This is one reason some people say they feel surprisingly focused when practicing OMAD. Instead of constantly riding the ups and downs of blood sugar spikes caused by frequent meals, the body enters a more stable energy mode powered by fat. Some people describe this stage as a type of mental clarity. They report fewer crashes in energy and less brain fog. But here's where things get more complex. While fasting longer can promote fat burning, the body is also extremely intelligent when it comes to survival. If the body senses that food intake has dramatically decreased, it may begin adapting in ways you might not expect. One of the biggest claims supporters of OMAD make is that it helps with weight loss. And in many cases, that can be true. When you eat only once a day, you naturally reduce the total number of calories you consume. It's simply harder to eat 3,000 calories in a single sitting than it is across multiple meals. For many people, this automatic calorie reduction leads to fat loss. But the story doesn't end there. Weight loss is not only about calories. Hormones, metabolism, hunger signals, and nutrient intake all play important roles. And OMAD affects all of them. One major benefit often discussed is improved insulin sensitivity. When insulin levels stay low for most of the day due to fasting, the body may become more efficient at using insulin when you finally eat. This can help regulate blood sugar levels and may lower the risk of metabolic problems over time. Another interesting change involves a process known as cellular repair. During extended fasting periods, the body may activate a natural cleanup process where damaged or old cellular components are broken down and recycled. This process helps maintain healthier cells and may support long-term health. Some researchers believe this mechanism could play a role in slowing aspects of aging and supporting disease prevention. But OMAD also creates challenges. When you compress your entire daily nutrition into one meal, you place a lot of pressure on that single plate of food. That meal must provide enough protein, vitamins, minerals, fiber, and healthy fats to support your entire body for the next 24 hours. and that is not always easy to achieve. Many people following OMAD unintentionally undereat important nutrients. If the meal lacks balance, the body may gradually develop deficiencies that affect energy levels, immune health, and muscle maintenance. Protein intake is especially important. Your muscles rely on regular protein intake to repair and maintain themselves. When you eat only once a day, your body receives a single pulse of protein rather than multiple opportunities for muscle repair throughout the day. For some individuals, especially those who exercise frequently, this could lead to gradual muscle loss if total protein intake is not high enough. Another factor to consider is hunger hormones. Your body produces hormones like ghrelin that signal hunger. When you skip meals, ghrelin levels may rise sharply at first. This can make the early days of OMAD feel very challenging. However, the body often adapts surprisingly quickly. Within a week or two, hunger signals may start aligning with your new eating schedule. Many people report that they eventually feel hungry only around their planned mealtime. But adaptation does not mean the diet works perfectly for everyone. Some individuals experience fatigue, irritability, headaches, or difficulty concentrating during long fasting periods. Others may feel dizzy or weak, especially if they are not consuming enough calories or electrolytes. There is also a psychological component. Eating only once per day can feel very restrictive. Social situations often revolve around food, and skipping meals with friends or family can sometimes make the diet difficult to sustain long term. And sustainability is one of the most important factors in any nutrition strategy. A diet that works temporarily but cannot be maintained often leads people back to old habits, sometimes resulting in weight regain. Still, despite these challenges, OMAD continues to attract millions of followers around the world. Part of the reason is the simplicity. Instead of planning multiple meals and snacks throughout the day, followers of OMAD focus on preparing one satisfying meal. Some people say this removes the stress of constant food decisions and helps them stay disciplined. But simplicity does not mean it is automatically safe or ideal for every person. Your age, activity level, health conditions, and lifestyle all influence how your body responds to long fasting periods. And this is where the real discussion about OMAD becomes important. Understanding both the potential benefits and the hidden risks that many people never consider before trying it. Because while some bodies adapt surprisingly well to eating once a day, others may quietly struggle in ways that aren't obvious at first. And what happens next inside your metabolism might completely change how you think about this diet. When someone first switches to eating one meal a day, the body doesn't immediately understand what's happening. For years, sometimes decades, it has been used to receiving food several times throughout the day. Breakfast signals the start of energy intake, lunch refuels the system, and dinner finishes the cycle. Suddenly removing most of those meals creates a major shift in the body's routine. During the first few days of OMAD, many people experience strong hunger waves. This happens because your body is following its internal clock. If you usually eat at 8 a.m., noon, and 7 p.m., your body will still release hunger hormones at those times, even if no food arrives. This can make the first week feel difficult. You might notice stomach growling, cravings, irritability, or even headaches. Some people also experience something called fasting fatigue, where energy temporarily dips as the body learns to switch from burning glucose to burning stored fat more efficiently. But the human body is remarkably adaptable. After about a week or two, many people report that their hunger patterns start to change. Instead of feeling hungry all day, the body begins to expect food only during the usual eating window. This adaptation happens partly because of hormonal changes. One important hormone involved is ghrelin, often called the hunger hormone. Ghrelin rises before meals and drops after eating. Over time, ghrelin starts aligning with your new schedule. So instead of spiking 3 times a day, it may spike once, close to your planned meal. This is one reason why experienced OMAD followers often say something surprising. They feel less hungry than they did when they ate multiple meals per day. However, hunger is only one piece of the story. Another major change involves how your body manages energy. When you fast for long hours every day, your body becomes better at accessing stored fat. Fat cells release fatty acids, which your body can use as fuel for muscles and organs. The liver also produces ketones, which provide energy for the brain. This shift toward fat-based fuel is sometimes referred to as metabolic flexibility. It means your body can switch smoothly between burning glucose and burning fat depending on what's available. For people trying to lose weight, this can be beneficial. When the body spends more hours burning fat, stored body fat can gradually decrease. That's why many people practicing OMAD notice reductions in body weight over time. But weight loss is not always purely fat loss. One concern with extreme fasting patterns is muscle preservation. Muscle tissue is metabolically active and important for maintaining strength, mobility, and metabolic health. When calorie intake becomes too low or protein intake is insufficient, the body may begin breaking down muscle tissue to use as energy. This risk increases if the single daily meal is not nutritionally balanced. For example, imagine someone eating only one meal, consisting mostly of refined carbohydrates, like white bread, sugary drinks, or fried foods. Even if calories are moderate, the body might still lack essential amino acids needed to maintain muscle. Without enough protein, the body cannot effectively repair and rebuild muscle tissue. Over time, this could reduce muscle mass and slow metabolism. And that's an important point many people overlook. A slower metabolism means the body burns fewer calories at rest. So while OMAD may initially cause weight loss, losing muscle could make long-term weight management harder if nutrition is not handled carefully. Another important factor is nutrient density. When you eat multiple meals, you have several opportunities to consume fruits, vegetables, proteins, whole grains, and healthy fats. But with OMAD, all of those nutrients must fit into a single plate. If that meal lacks variety, deficiencies can develop slowly. For instance, vitamins like B12, vitamin D, iron, magnesium, and calcium are essential for energy production, nerve function, and bone health. Consistently missing these nutrients could lead to fatigue, weakness, and other health issues over time. This is why experts often emphasize that if someone practices OMAD, the meal itself must be extremely balanced and nutrient-dense. A typical healthy OMAD plate might include lean proteins such as fish, chicken, eggs, or legumes, healthy fats like avocado, olive oil, or nuts, complex carbohydrates such as vegetables and whole grains, plenty of fiber from fruits and vegetables. Without that balance, the diet can become problematic. Hydration also becomes very important. Some people mistakenly think fasting means avoiding both food and water for most of the day. But dehydration can cause headaches, dizziness, and reduced concentration. Drinking water throughout the fasting period helps support circulation, digestion, and overall body function. Electrolytes such as sodium, potassium, and magnesium also play a role in maintaining energy levels, especially during long fasting windows. Now let's talk about something many OMAD followers report: improved mental focus. Some people claim they feel more productive when they eat only once per day. They say they experience fewer energy crashes and more consistent concentration. There may actually be some biological reasons behind this. When blood sugar levels constantly rise and fall due to frequent eating, the brain can experience fluctuations in available energy. These fluctuations may contribute to fatigue or difficulty concentrating for some individuals. During longer fasting periods, blood sugar levels tend to stabilize. The brain can also use ketones as an alternative energy source. Ketones are considered a very efficient fuel for brain cells. Some researchers believe this may support clearer thinking and sustained focus during fasting. However, this effect varies widely between individuals. Some people thrive mentally during fasting. Others experience brain fog, irritability, or trouble focusing. Genetics, sleep quality, stress levels, and overall diet all influence how the brain responds. And there's another side to OMAD that rarely gets discussed: the digestive system. When you consume an entire day's worth of food in one sitting, digestion becomes more demanding. The stomach expands to accommodate a large meal, and the digestive organs must process a significant amount of food at once. For some people, this leads to bloating, discomfort, or acid reflux after the meal. The body may also release a large spike of insulin when such a big meal is eaten. While fasting lowers insulin levels during the day, this very large meal may temporarily cause a sharp increase in blood sugar and insulin afterward. This effect depends heavily on the type of food eaten. Meals high in refined carbohydrates and sugar will cause bigger spikes than meals rich in protein, fiber, and healthy fats. so the quality of the meal matters just as much as the timing. Now let's address an important question many people wonder about. Is OMAD safe for everyone? The answer is no. Certain groups of people should be very cautious with extreme fasting patterns. For example, individuals with diabetes must carefully manage blood sugar levels. Long fasting periods can sometimes cause dangerous drops or unpredictable spikes in glucose. People who are pregnant or breastfeeding also require steady nutrient intake to support both their body and the developing baby. Teenagers and young adults still in growth phases need consistent nutrition to support development. And individuals with a history of eating disorders may find that strict fasting patterns trigger unhealthy behaviors. Even for healthy adults, OMAD may not always be the best long-term strategy. Some nutrition experts argue that moderate forms of intermittent fasting, such as eating within an 8 to 10 hour window, can provide many of the same benefits without the extreme restriction of a single meal. These approaches may allow the body to experience fasting benefits while still providing multiple opportunities for balanced nutrition. But supporters of OMAD say something different. They argue that the human body evolved during times when food was not constantly available. Our ancestors often went long periods without eating, before eventually finding a large meal. According to this view, OMAD may actually mimic natural eating patterns from earlier human history. The truth likely lies somewhere in between. Human bodies are capable of adapting to many different eating patterns. Some people genuinely feel energized and healthy with one meal a day. Others feel drained and unsatisfied. And that brings us to one of the most important questions of all. If someone does decide to try OMAD, how can they do it in a way that protects their metabolism, maintains muscle, and supports long-term health? Because the difference between a helpful strategy and a harmful one often comes down to a few critical details that many beginners completely overlook. If someone decides to try eating one meal a day, the most important thing to understand is that the quality of that meal can make or break the entire approach. When your body receives only one opportunity to refuel every 24 hours, that meal has to work very hard. It must provide enough energy to power your brain, support your organs, repair muscles, maintain hormones, and keep your immune system functioning properly. Think of it like filling a car's fuel tank for an entire day of driving. If you only add a small amount of low-quality fuel, the car may start running poorly very quickly. The same principle applies to your body. A balanced OMAD meal usually needs several key components. First is protein. Protein provides amino acids, which are the building blocks your body uses to repair tissues, maintain muscles, and produce enzymes and hormones. Without enough protein, the body may begin breaking down muscle tissue over time. Experts often suggest that adults aim for roughly 20 to 40 grams of protein in a meal, depending on body size and activity level. For someone following OMAD, the protein portion may need to be even higher to ensure the body receives enough amino acids for the entire day. Sources like chicken, fish, eggs, tofu, beans, and Greek yogurt can provide high-quality protein. Next comes healthy fats. Healthy fats are important for hormone production, brain function, and long-lasting energy. Foods such as avocados, olive oil, nuts, seeds, and fatty fish provide fats that support heart and metabolic health. These fats also help slow digestion, which keeps you feeling full longer after the meal. And then there are complex carbohydrates. Carbohydrates have been unfairly blamed for many health problems, but the truth is your body still relies on them as an energy source. The key is choosing the right kinds. Whole grains, vegetables, fruits, and legumes provide complex carbohydrates that digest slowly and release energy steadily. They also contain fiber, which supports digestion and gut health. Fiber is especially important when eating once a day because it helps regulate blood sugar levels and keeps the digestive system functioning properly. Vegetables also provide something else the body desperately needs: micronutrients. Vitamins and minerals play roles in almost every biological process. Magnesium supports muscle and nerve function. Iron carries oxygen in the blood. Vitamin C helps the immune system fight infections. When meals lack variety, these nutrients can become limited. That's why a well-constructed OMAD meal often looks colorful and diverse. It may include leafy greens, bright vegetables, lean proteins, healthy fats, and whole grains all on one plate. But even when the meal is nutritionally balanced, there are still other factors to consider. One of the most common mistakes beginners make with OMAD is jumping into it too quickly. Going from 3 meals per day to just 1 overnight can shock the body. Hunger spikes, energy drops, and cravings can become overwhelming. A gradual approach often works better. Some people begin with a moderate form of intermittent fasting, such as a 12-hour fasting window. Then they slowly extend it to 14 hours, 16 hours, and eventually longer periods if their body responds well. This gradual shift allows hormones and metabolism to adjust more smoothly. Another important factor is physical activity. Exercise places additional demands on the body. Muscles require nutrients for repair and recovery, especially after strength training or intense workouts. For individuals who train regularly, OMAD may make it harder to supply the body with enough protein and calories. Athletes and very active individuals sometimes perform better with at least 2 meals per day, so their muscles receive nutrients more frequently. Sleep also plays a role in how the body responds to fasting. Poor sleep can increase hunger hormones and reduce insulin sensitivity. This can make fasting feel much harder and may lead to overeating during the single meal. Good sleep supports hormone balance, energy levels, and appetite control. And then there's stress. Chronic stress increases a hormone called cortisol. Elevated cortisol levels can increase cravings for high-calorie foods and encourage the body to store fat. If someone is already under significant stress, adding a restrictive eating pattern may not always be beneficial. This highlights something very important about nutrition. There is no single diet that works perfectly for everyone. Human bodies are incredibly complex. Genetics, lifestyle, environment, and personal health conditions all influence how someone responds to a particular eating pattern. For some people, OMAD may feel freeing. They enjoy the simplicity of eating once per day, they lose weight, and they experience stable energy levels. For others, the same pattern may cause fatigue, irritability, or constant hunger. That's why paying attention to your body's signals is essential. If someone feels consistently weak, dizzy, unable to concentrate, or constantly exhausted while following OMAD, it may be a sign the body is not responding well to the approach. Health strategies should improve your quality of life, not make daily life more difficult. Another question people often ask is whether OMAD slows metabolism. The answer is complicated. Short fasting periods generally do not drastically slow metabolism. In fact, some studies suggest that brief fasting may temporarily increase metabolic rate due to the release of certain hormones like norepinephrine. However, extremely low calorie intake over long periods can eventually reduce metabolic rate because the body begins conserving energy. So if someone practicing OMAD consistently eats far too little, the body may adapt by slowing down. This is why calorie balance still matters. Even though OMAD restricts eating to 1 meal, that meal must still provide enough energy for the body's daily needs. Interestingly, many long-term followers of OMAD report another unexpected effect. Their relationship with food changes. Instead of constantly thinking about snacks or the next meal, they focus on preparing one satisfying, enjoyable meal each day. Some say they become more mindful about what they eat. But this psychological shift can go in either direction. For some people, concentrating all food into one meal can trigger overeating or feelings of loss of control. Others may become overly restrictive and develop anxiety around food choices. This is why balance and flexibility are so important. Nutrition should support physical health, mental well-being, and social life. Sharing meals with family and friends is a deeply human experience. Strict eating patterns that interfere with these connections may become difficult to sustain. Sustainability may be the most important factor of all. A diet that works for 2 weeks but fails after 2 months rarely leads to lasting health improvements. Sustainable habits, ones that fit comfortably into daily life, tend to produce the most reliable results over time. So when we look at eating 1 meal a day, the truth is neither extreme praise nor extreme criticism tells the full story. OMAD can promote fat burning, simplify eating routines, and potentially improve insulin sensitivity for some people. But it can also lead to nutrient deficiencies, muscle loss, energy problems, or digestive discomfort if not practiced carefully. The real key is understanding your own body, choosing nutrient-dense foods, and approaching any dietary change thoughtfully rather than impulsively. Because when it comes to health, the most powerful strategy is rarely the most extreme one. It's the one that supports your body consistently, day after day, year after year. So, is eating one meal a day a powerful health strategy or a dangerous habit? The honest answer is that it depends entirely on how it's done and who is doing it. For some people, OMAD can be a surprisingly effective way to simplify eating, reduce calorie intake, and encourage the body to burn stored fat. It may help stabilize blood sugar levels, improve focus for certain individuals, and remove the constant cycle of snacking that many people struggle with. But OMAD is not a magic solution. When the body receives only one opportunity for nutrition each day, that meal must be carefully balanced. Without enough protein, vitamins, minerals, and healthy fats, the body may slowly lose muscle, develop nutrient deficiencies, or experience fatigue and weakness. It also isn't the right approach for everyone. People with certain medical conditions, those who are pregnant, growing teenagers, or individuals with a history of disordered eating should be especially cautious with extreme fasting patterns. What truly matters in the long run is sustainability. The healthiest eating pattern is not the one that feels the most extreme or the most popular online. It's the one that consistently supports your energy, protects your metabolism, nourishes your body, and fits naturally into your daily life. For some people, that might be 3 balanced meals a day. For others, it might be a form of intermittent fasting. And for a smaller group, eating one well-planned meal a day may work just fine. Your body is constantly sending signals about what it needs. Learning to listen to those signals and responding with balanced, nutritious choices is far more powerful than following any strict rule about when you should eat. Because in the end, health isn't built from a single meal or a single day of eating. It's built from the habits you repeat over months and years. And the goal is never just to eat less. The goal is to fuel your body in a way that allows you to feel strong, focused, energized, and healthy for the long run. If you found this information helpful, take a moment to think about your own eating habits and what truly supports your body best. And remember, sometimes the smartest health decision isn't choosing the most extreme diet. It's choosing the one you can maintain for life.